Welcome back to On the Art Trail with Joanne. I'm here today with Juneyt, the fantastic Juneyt, I must say.
Thank you.
In a beautiful setting at Roseville Estates,
yes.
an incredibly beautiful morning. So thank you very much for joining me this morning, and I'm happy to spend some time with you.
Thank you so much, Joanne. Thank you for having me.
You are a modest guy, but you received the Best Local Entertainer in Kitchener-Waterloo recently.
Yes.
And also the Waterloo Region Arts Award. So congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you kindly.
Fantastic. We're going to spend a little bit of time together, and we're going to talk about Juneyt, and we're going to talk about flamenco music and flamenco guitars, and we're going to teach our audience about the beautiful movement of flamenco.
Absolutely.
So you arrived from Turkey in 1998.
Yes.
And we spent some time off camera talking about your journey from then until now. And you are an incredibly hardworking fellow.
Thank you.
You're a survivor. You have done just exactly what it takes to enjoy life in Canada.
Thank you.
So what does it mean for you to be a Canadian, Juneyt?
It is an opportunity. It's a great opportunity to be a Canadian, because when I left my country, I was looking for new opportunities and new way of life, better way of life, just like pretty much every refugee and every immigrant do. And Canada gave me that opportunity, and that's why being a Canadian, it's almost like being free.
Mm-hmm.
And literally you're given life in a silver platter all of a sudden from extreme hardship, and you're now able to do anything you want. Whatever you want to be, you can be when you're a Canadian. And that's kind of what it means to me. It's the freedom of basically movement.
Beautiful. Coming from a repressive regime that you experienced, I can only imagine what that would feel like. I am a Canadian, so I probably take things for granted that you don't.
Oh, well, even though it's over there, governments have always been kind of interesting. I'll put it in that way, interesting, but we still lived happy because we haven't been given, and whatever small hope we have, you basically hang on to that, and happiness, family, everything is stronger there because that's all you have. In Canada, people actually have strong government. People are happy because of that, because they are provided. They don't have to think of the next day that they're going to go to bed hungry. But
Right.
over there, unfortunately, that is an issue.
Mm-hmm.
That was, still is a little bit, but you don't have it in here, which is great.
Thank God. So I would assume that music has always been a large part of your life, perhaps not flamenco, but certainly music has entered your soul probably from a long time ago. So how did you learn to play flamenco?
Well, I learned it at the end of almost 18, and 18 and a half, I started learning guitar. Started the interest in guitar because there was this guitar player who was playing in one of the restaurants there, one of the restaurants / bars, and it was very impressive to me. And he was playing kind of Spanish style, and I basically decided, you know what, I'm going to learn this.
Just like that?
Just like that, and I really enjoyed the way that it's just you have somewhere to channel your every negative energy you're going through at that time. This could be anything from your family or your father. That's my father was a little bit abusive, and tried to get away from that. It's kind of like a best way of channeling your energy, your emotions is through music. And I didn't know where to start, so I went to a pawn shop and I found myself a guitar and a VHS tape that started all of this. And I was very, very happy and very lucky that all of this ended up in the same spot. Everything has a reason, there's a reason for everything to
For
happen.
sure.
And I guarantee you that was the reason why that cassette was there. And I picked it up and started learning.
Not exactly the easiest style of music to challenge yourself, I must say.
It wasn't, yeah. That's, but it's. I've always liked to challenge, like anything that is hard. I always go against it because my philosophy is, if a human being made this, how hard could it be? And that's why I'm like at it.
Beautiful. What makes flamenco guitars different than other guitars?
Well, flamenco, physically, the flamenco guitar itself, a little bit different than classical guitar. It's nylon strings, and it has golpe pickguards. Golpe meaning when you're playing the guitar, you hit the body of the guitar to create the rhythmic structure, to follow the rhythmic structure of the sequence that flamenco music follows. With the flamenco guitar, it has to be percussive. It has to be. It doesn't have that much melodical influences in it. It's when somebody listens to it who is not really within the flamenco would not understand, oh, they all sound the same. Although that's when you go in and you realize, oh, this is mountains of difference. Every one of them is different. It's mainly rhythmical structure of the flamenco guitar makes the whole thing different. So that's why I believe flamenco guitar is challenging because of simply the rhythmical structures of it, not because of the chords you play, per se.
We're going to take a short break, and we are going to enjoy a wonderful flamenco dance by a wonderful dancer, and we will be back to talk a little bit more about flamenco music. So stay tuned. welcome back to On the Art Trail with Joanne. I am here right at the moment with the beautiful and lovely Ishra Blanco. Thank you, Ishra. You are a woman of elegance and beauty. And you are a bailora. And can you tell me what that means, please?
So dancer, it actually translates to dancer, which I am.
You certainly are. And the costume of a traditional flamenco dancer would be what?
Would be a lower bun, and pretty similar to what I'm wearing here. The shoes, of course, with the nails both at the top and underneath the heel as well, and the skirt is part of flamenco dance, although there are a lot of different styles out there, but the shoes is one that will.
And that
definitely.
beautiful red rose in your black hair.
Yes,
of course.
absolutely, absolutely. I'm wearing more jewelry because I do a fusion, so a fusion of flamenco and belly dance. So I have some added additions to my costume as well.
And why have you chosen to focus on fusion as opposed to one or the other?
I have so many different interests, and I'm forever a student. So I started out with belly dancing, and I've studied a lot of different dance forms. My loves have been belly dance and flamenco.
Do you interpret the music when you dance to a particular piece? Is it improv? Are there certain steps that need to be incorporated into a dance to make it authentic?
Yes, so it is improvisational. What I do with Juneyt is nuevo flamenco, so it is a more freer style, not stuck so much in the tradition where it is very specific with the rhythms. But my love for dance and learning different dance forms come from being able to have a wide vocabulary, so then that way I can express what I want in here, and then I don't have the limits of having to stick to one dance form. It's just flowing through me, and whatever I hear through the music is what I want to be able to express in my movement.
What do you mean by a wide vocabulary?
A wide vocabulary of movement.
Of movement.
Yes, yeah, so not sticking necessarily to one, although I have studied and I greatly respect the dance forms in their original form, which is, original form is hard to say because it's grown and changed so much over the years, over the centuries, but I like to continue in that and keep adding to a new style and a new growth.
Nouveau flamenco.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you very much for sharing your wisdom and your love of dance. We enjoyed it very much.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Joanne.
We're back with Juneyt and his wonderful expertise with this fantastic guitar.
Thank you.
Before us. So, Juneyt, does flamenco tell a story?
Absolutely. It's basically flamenco musicians, flamenco singers tell a story. It's almost like they practice every time. They're little phrases of little stories. Most of the time it's very witty stories that the singers sing. They sing about really, because the culture is very witty. You know, like there's always this kind of mischievous, kind of fun stuff they say. Also, they talk about pain, and because in Europe, I think it's always the same. Whenever they talk about love, it's always pain, because love is associated with pain, and it's actually proven as well that in our brain, it's all very, very close to each other. When you're in love and when you're in pain, you're kind of close to each other, the way that you feel. And the guitar has a lot of influence in that, and especially flamenco guitar. This is not the original flamenco guitar, like this is not a real flamenco guitar, but it's the closest you can get to a electrical flamenco guitar, which is this is actually a Canadian company.
Wonderful.
It's a golden They're one of my favorite guitar companies in the world. And I added this. We were talking about earlier, the flamenco guitar that makes it different is the pick guards. Normally it has two pick guards. I didn't put the top one, and therefore you realize that's what happens. So when you're hitting, there's something called golpe. When you're doing like that, kind of protects it when you're doing golpe picking, and the other one is protects the top of the guitar. That's for when you hit. Do you hear that?
Yes.
See that hit? It's basically me hitting my middle finger with the nail on the top of it.
Wow.
And you wouldn't hear it when you're listening to the music because it's very nicely combined within. For instance, when I'm doing this. When I'm doing that, it kind of mixes with the sound of the chord coming out. But that's why they have protective pick guards like that. And the distance between the string and the body of the guitar is way shorter on an actual flamenco guitar. It's like very minimal.
Really?
So that the golpe, you don't have to give it so hard. It's just like, it's right there. You kind of like do it very simply. That's why.
Canadian spruce, you said you're...
Yes. My flamenco guitar at home, my real flamenco guitar, which is incredible. It's made in Canada by a Canadian guy, Jeff Sigurdsson. And it has Canadian spruce on it. Many of the flamenco guitars, really nice flamenco guitars, have Canadian spruce on them because it resonates way longer than any other wood. And plus, it has this bright sound that flamenco needs, you know, bright, like, percussive sound that flamenco sound needs. And the funny thing is, even in guitars in Spain, they use Canadian spruce. And that's why, like, Canadian wood is climatized to the harshest weather, because Canadian weather is one of the harshest weathers in the world.
Yep.
And Canadian wood is climatized to this weather. Therefore, it basically can survive in any weather. If I have a lot of guitars from different countries, expensive guitars, some of them, and they all have cracks in them. The main reason, because no matter how much you use a humidifier, it still cracks because it's not climatized to this weather. But any Canadian guitar I have, perfect.
Fantastic.
Such as this one.
I'm going to say one word.
Okay.
Paco.
Well, Paco is my idol, Paco de Lucia, and he's the person actually who's responsible for flamenco being this famous, this well known in the world, because Paco de Lucia was this unbelievable flamenco guitar player that was he was recognized. He's the best in the world, and he was recognized by a lot of the jazz musicians and every kind of like Al Di Meola, John McLaughlin played with him, and he became famous within amongst all the guitar players because he was just unbelievable. But this guy was incredibly lucky as well because he was born into a flamenco family. His brother was a singer, his father was a guitar player, a singer, and very well-known people. And then he picked it up way younger and pretty much played all his life since he was a little kid. And he's been my inspiration since like I started guitar pretty much.
Well, your accomplishments haven't been too shabby either.
Thank
Not
you.
quite Paco. But you've had some interesting gigs.
Yeah.
And you opened for Santana
Yes.
on the Budweiser stage in 2019.
Yes, last year.
Which must have been a pretty fantastic experience.
It was, and the great thing about that experience was August 9, 1998 was the date that I came to Canada, and I was 21 years old. And when I was 42, August 9, 2019, literally 21 years after, like half of my life, exactly to the T.
You're on the stage with Santana.
On the stage with Santana. And my first concert that I've seen in Canada was Santana's concert.
Fantastic.
That was so weird.
what a wonderful
circle.
Circle, right?
Totally.
And of course, we can talk about Leona Boyd.
Oh yeah, she's incredible. Well, Leona Boyd is another one of my idols, but her style is classical, best classical guitarist, one of the best in the world, in my opinion. And working with her was very, very cool. Opening for her was incredible, and she's a phenomenal, she's a great singer as well. And the best thing of my life, I think, I would say that and Santana, two best things in my life that happened in my career. Simply because when I first came to Canada, I started working just like every immigrant. I started working at Tim Hortons.
Tim Hortons.
Tim Hortons, yeah. Because Tim Hortons was the lady that I worked for on Bridgeport Plaza in Kitchener, in Waterloo, sorry. Her name was Miss Path. She was very friendly, very open to everybody. Unbelievable person, and one of the first people I actually felt like a family, and she took me under her wing, and she got me working for her. And she was a hard worker, worked 24/7 at that Tim Hortons. And when I was there, I bought myself this cassette player of Leona Boyd's best hits, greatest hits from Salvation Army. And then I used to put in my Walkman and listen to it when I was mopping the floor.
Oh,
And 19 years later,
you're playing with
I was
Leona
playing
Boyd.
or opening for her. And then that was like a moment of realizing that, as I said before, if you go for opportunities, definitely, you take your action, you'll get where you want to go. Definitely.
You are a living example, my
Thank
friend.
you. Thank you.
So thank you very much
I
for
appreciate
spending
it.
time with me today. It has been a wonderful experience.
Thank you so
And
much.
I wish you many more wonderful moments ahead, those milestone moments where, you know, we're going to look back at Juneyt and go, fantastic, a wonderful example of a young man that came to Canada
Thank you.
and has accomplished incredible things.
Thank you. I couldn't have done it without people like in my life I crossed my paths, and one of them is also you as well.
Thank you so much.